Hello and welcome back. I know many of you think the dinosaur era was the absolute peak of creature sizes. Those long-necked, plant-eating giants of the Jurassic and Cretaceous periods, whose footsteps literally shook the earth, are the perfect illustration of that. But guess what? The age of giants is actually far from over. And believe it or not, we are living right in the middle of it. Right now, in Earth's oceans, there is a creature so massive that it makes every dinosaur that ever lived look tiny. It's a creature longer than 3 highway buses parked end to end, weighing as much as a Boeing 747. Its heart is the size of a car, and its largest blood vessel is wide enough for a human baby to crawl through. Even its genitalia is longer than any human who has ever lived. It is not just the largest living animal today, but the most colossal creature to have ever evolved in the entire history of life on Earth. This creature is completely real, and it is the blue whale. Yeah, I know. Old news. You've probably heard these facts 100 times before. But it is estimated that less than 1% of the world's population will ever get the chance to see a blue whale in real life. So trust me, very few people watching this video can truly comprehend the sheer scale of a blue whale. The International Whaling Commission reported that there are 88 blue whales measured at over 30 meters long, including one individual that reached 33 meters. If you stood it upright, it would be as tall as a 10-story building. The heaviest blue whale ever captured weighed a staggering 190 tons, and experts believe they can fully surpass the 200-ton mark. To put that into perspective, if you gathered the entire student body of a high school and put them on a scale, let's say 1,500 students, averaging 62 kilos each, you would need another entire high school just to balance the scale with that single blue whale on the other side. Alright, comparing it to humans is a bit cliché, right? Well, a blue whale weighs more than twice as much as the largest dinosaur to have ever walked the earth. And even when compared to other whale species, it is nearly twice as heavy. The blue whale has reached an absurd, almost anomalous weight class, completely leaving behind billions of species that have existed throughout 3.5 billion years of evolution. And it is still alive today. While we set out to answer the question, why does such an impossibly massive, rule-breaking creature exist? And not only that, how did it become so incredibly successful? We stumbled upon an unexpected piece of data. As it turns out, the blue whale needs to be big. In fact, the bigger, the better. Every story has a beginning, and the tale of the largest creature to ever exist starts 50 million years ago in what is now Pakistan. There, if you were lucky, you would have come across a Pakicetus. Its name literally means Pakistan whale.
Wait, hold on. Don't tell me this 4-legged, wolf-sized creature is actually related to the blue whale?
Not only is it related, Pakicetus is considered one of the oldest ancestors of all modern whales. While Pakicetus didn't look like a modern whale on the outside, internally, its uniquely structured and dense ear bones are the telltale signature of the cetacean order, which helped them hear and navigate underwater. Pakicetus was the most primitive of whales, a transitional form between life on land and life in the water. They lived along the banks of rivers, lakes, and shallow seas, hunting fish and land animals. Over the next 10 million years, the descendants of Pakicetus, such as the walking whale Ambulocetus, Remingtonocetus, the mother whale Myocetus, and Rhodhocetus, became increasingly adapted to the marine environment. And by around 40 million years ago, whales had fully transitioned to life in the ocean, even coming to dominate it. Basilosaurus was one of the largest animals of the late Eocene, growing up to 20 meters long and weighing up to 15 tons. Even though it was a true whale, its name actually means king lizard, stemming from the initial misconception that it was a giant marine reptile. A few million years later, a fascinating twist occurred. The evolutionary lineage of whales split into 2 branches. On one side were the toothed whales, terrifying apex predators that hunt using echolocation. On the other side were the baleen whales, which used soft yet durable plates of baleen to filter food from the ocean. If toothed whales are like traditional hunters or fishermen, catching their prey one by one, baleen whales are like commercial trawlers casting massive nets to scoop up entire schools of fish at once. Flash forward to 10 million years ago, when a new lineage of baleen whales emerged, the rorquals. True to their nature, these creatures featured throat grooves running from their lower jaw all the way down to their navel. This feature, combined with a highly flexible jaw, allowed their mouths to open incredibly wide and their throats to expand to an astonishing degree. This ingenious body design unlocked a completely new skill never before seen on Earth: lunge feeding. Basically, a rorqual accelerates, charges into a swarm of prey, opens its jaws wide like Pac-Man, and engulfs a volume of water nearly equal to its own body mass before filtering out the food through its baleen plates. Let's analyze this for a moment to see why this newly unlocked skill of the rorquals is way more overpowered than you think. Lunge feeding allows rorquals to capture a massive amount of prey in a single highly efficient action. A large whale can scoop up to 70,000 liters of water into its expandable mouth, retaining half a ton of krill. In just one single gulp, it consumes 457,000 calories, which is 200 times the energy expended during the lunge itself. To give you an idea, a single mouthful from a blue whale contains enough calories to keep a human alive for half a year. In other words, rorquals had unlocked the ultimate formula for becoming giants. Yet, it took millions of years of evolution to fully realize it. 5 million years ago, rorquals began to grow massive. Curiously, this wasn't an isolated event. Nearly all modern rorqual species and other baleen whales underwent extreme gigantism simultaneously between 4.5 and 3 million years ago. However, for the blue whale specifically, this gigantism boom came a bit later, around 1.5 million years ago. So, what triggered this size explosion? The answer lies in another boom, a phytoplankton explosion. Phytoplankton is the foundation of almost every marine food chain. Copepods and krill feed on phytoplankton. Schools of fish like sardines and anchovies then feed on krill and copepods. And from there, it's the classic story of big fish eating little fish. When massive swarms of prey suddenly appeared across the oceans, starting 5 million years ago, lunge feeding received a massive buff. Suddenly, whales had the perfect conditions to grow as large as they wanted. But what caused that sudden food boom in the first place? Around 5 million years ago, a series of tectonic shifts, global cooling, and stronger winds fueled the phenomenon known as upwelling. When strong winds blow along a coastline, logic dictates that the surface water gets pushed along with the wind, meaning along the shore. However, due to the Coriolis effect, caused by the Earth's rotation, the water current is deflected at a right angle to the coast, pushing the surface water out to the open sea. As the surface water is pushed away, cold, nutrient-rich water from the deep ocean is drawn up to the surface. Simply put, that is upwelling. Phytoplankton photosynthesize using sunlight, but they still need nutrients from the water. Upwelling acts like a fertilizer, causing phytoplankton to explode in population and creating dense feeding grounds. This nourished the rorquals, fueling their growth to colossal sizes. So, rorquals evolved a new way of feeding, and when the ocean suddenly became perfect for that style of feeding, they ballooned in size all at once. And do you remember the unexpected fact of facts mentioned at the beginning of the video? That whales need to be big?
Yes!
A team of experts at Stanford University conducted a study on whales in Antarctica and concluded that a whale needs to reach at least 4.5 meters in length, or 1 to 2 tons in weight, roughly the size of a weaned minke whale calf, for the amount of food captured in a single lunge to be enough for its survival. In other words, 4.5 meters and 1.5 tons is the absolute minimum threshold for a rorqual to survive in the ocean. Returning to the main point, enhanced upwelling and the phytoplankton boom explain the massive size of rorquals. However, it still doesn't explain why the blue whale's weight completely eclipses every other creature in evolutionary history. The answer lies in what our blue whale eats: krill. While all rorquals feed the same way, by lunging and engulfing, their menus differ. Some species eat fish, others eat copepods, and some eat both. But the blue whale, it remains fiercely loyal to krill. So, what exactly is krill? This tiny creature, which can fit comfortably on a fingertip or the palm of your hand, is actually one of the most abundant and high-quality protein sources on Earth. 60 to 80% of a krill's dry mass is pure protein. They are also the most abundant animals on the planet in terms of biomass, with an estimated 400 million tons in the Southern Ocean alone. Krill congregate into superswarms so massive and dense that it defies imagination. Scientists once observed a krill swarm about 400 meters long, 200 meters wide, and 100 meters deep, enough to fill more than 2,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools. With a density of around 30,000 individuals per cubic meter of water, that single swarm weighed roughly 250,000 tons. During peak feeding season, a blue whale can consume up to 16 tons of krill a day, equivalent to 12% of its own body weight. And they eat this much because they need to be big. And as we established, the bigger, the better, right? Krill is an incredibly abundant dish, but it's served seasonally. They boom in cold, nutrient-rich waters during the summer, then become scarce when winter arrives. This type of food supply fosters a feast or famine lifestyle. This means stuffing themselves when food is available and relying on blubber to survive the lean times. According to evolutionary logic, a massive body offers a double advantage. It allows them to eat more, and it lets them store more fat. In other words, for the blue whale, being the biggest isn't enough. They must get bigger and bigger and bigger. And it seems they really are still growing. According to one study, it took the blue whale 5 million generations to increase its weight by 7,600 times, from 25 kilograms to 190 tons. In contrast, it takes 10 million generations for a land mammal to grow 5,000 times larger. A major reason for this is that water supports their body weight, so whales require fewer skeletal and structural changes to adapt to weight gain. The study also found that most mammals today are smaller than they were during the last ice age, about 1 million years ago. But the blue whale is an exception. It has never stopped growing in size, and theoretically, it could continue to get even larger as long as there is enough food. However, studies show that Antarctic krill populations have declined by 70% to 80% since the 1970s, driven mainly by climate change and industrial krill fishing for omega-3 production. If the abundance of krill continues to be threatened, the blue whale could very well disappear. And that is not the only threat. Industrial whaling in the 20th century wiped out 99% of the Antarctic blue whale population. Their numbers plummeted from 250,000 before the whaling era to just around 2,000 by the mid-1960s. Since blue whale hunting was banned in 1966, their numbers have finally begun to recover. However, according to one scenario, by the year 2100, their population will still not have reached even half of pre-whaling levels. In short, it took the blue whale millions of years of evolution to become the largest, most successful creature to ever exist on Earth. But whether this grand story continues or comes to an end depends heavily on us. Please subscribe to support my channel.